good evening, and welcome to another edition of In the Ladies' Room with Nikki and Michelle. I'm just going to give you guys a few minutes to come on into the room, hit like and share. You can't see us right now. I just wanted to let you see some of our new screen work before we actually got on. So hit like and share, come into the room. We're going to have a lively discussion this afternoon or this evening about no disrespect. So remember, we are streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and we're not on Periscope right now. We are taking a brief a brief hiatus from Periscope until we could figure it out a little bit better, how to get more viewers on Periscope. So for right now, we're just streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. Again, you are streaming live with Nikki and Michelle, and you are in the ladies' room. We have a brief clip to show you before we get into the discussion about no disrespect, and then I'll come back to you in just a second, and you'll be able to see
exactly. Nikki, how come I can't see anything?
Because the screen is up. You can't see it. I can't either. What was I getting ready to say? I forgot just that quick. So anyway, welcome to In the Ladies' Room. We are here. We are live and ready to go. We have some interesting discussion for you this evening. But first, we're going to start with this quick clip. It's only going to be a couple of minutes. I'm not going to show the whole thing. I just want to give you a background for the discussion that we're going to have this evening. So here we go.
On your level, a chance. Why?
Because I honestly want a six-figure guy, is what I'm realizing.
Okay, so let me just go ahead and net it out for you. You ready?
Uh-huh.
The guys you want aren't asking you out.
Well, I haven't been putting myself out there, honestly.
But you put yourself out there enough for the guys you don't want or beneath you to ask you out.
Those are like guys I met online.
Right. So, again, the men you want are not asking you out. See, you ladies do this. You go and deal with men who you feel are beneath you, and then you ask how to fix them. I'm not beneath you. I don't know how to fix a guy that's down there. That's not my concern. The better question is, why can't you get a guy on your level? That's the real question. Well, the first thing, well, first of all, I would tell you what I said in here automatically is a problem. Why you would come onto a show that you know is a disagreement day? It's selfish. It's like, well, yes, man. It's like I want what I want. I don't say things for no reason. That's why I asked you questions. You're 35 years old, a business owner. That means you understand what business is, and you know this is a business. And I have a show title. And you said, "Damn your show title, I want to talk to you." But you could have went to my business and booked time to talk to me. But you wanted what you wanted, how you wanted.
I'm sorry.
No, and I'm using this as a lesson. That's the problem with too many of you black women. You don't do shit the right way with black men. That was improper. And when I told you the right way, you still were like, well, whatever. So I'm gonna use this. When was the last time you had a relationship?
Like the end of last year around December.
How long did it last?
A year.
A year? And was that man, did you go to college?
Did I go to college?
Yes.
No, sir.
Okay, and how long have you owned your own business?
9 years.
And how long have you been making six figures or more?
The last 3.
Okay, why do you need a man making six figures?
Because I'm finding out that the guys that I date, it's not working out.
What does that have to do with money?
because I feel like I need a guy that I can respect and admire, and I'm ambition, and I want a guy that has that drive too. And when he doesn't, I find myself, encouraging, like, hey, babe, you can do this and you can do that. And then,
all right, so in North Carolina, what percentage of the population, what percentage of men in this country make 6 figures or more?
I think it's like 5%. I'm not
closer to 10. So, okay. 10%. All right. So the question is, what do those men who make that kind of money, who all women tend to want, what do they want?
I feel like they want arm candy, somebody who can have more to bring to the table than just looks, but also bring balance to their life. I feel like I can help them out on
Okay, slow down. I'm not understanding. You said they want arm candy, then you contradicted yourself. They want somebody that more than just looks.
Yeah, arm candy, but something behind, brain with it, and more in depth.
Do you know any men who make 6 figures or more?
Okay, we're gonna just stop.
My dad and my uncle.
We're gonna stop it here, and I'm gonna try and break down how I want this discussion to kind of. Well, I want you to tell me what your thoughts and your opinions are, and give me what you're thinking when you hear that discussion between that show host and that young lady. But as for the topic of no disrespect, I really wanted to show you that clip and try and get your mind around the idea of disrespect and what it looks like in any relationship, not just a relationship between a man and a woman or romantic relationship, but the relationships that we carry on from day to day. And before we actually get into the crux of the discourse, let me just say hello to everyone. I know Michelle is bursting, waiting to say hello to all of her friends because we've been gone for 2 weeks. So, hey, everybody, Stacy and Tammy, Denise, Angela, Beatrice, Shainu, Kimberly, Angela, Kim. How is everyone? Happy New Year to you. We got a lot of craziness going on, but we hope this discussion will help you take your mind away, because we're going to move the discourse into something that will hopefully help us all in the end. But go, Michelle.
Hi, my sisters. I'm just so happy to be back with you. Happy New Year to everybody. Greetings and blessings upon you all. Praying that 2021 is going to be greater. It's going to be better. And I wish you all good health and happiness and prosperity. Now, with all of that good news out of the way, I'm ready to, as the talk show hosts say, I'm ready to have some girl chat. I'm ready to talk about this. Yeah.
What we say, Michelle? We just talking about
what we talking about. So many of you have probably already, we wanted to kind of do a clip of it, but many of you have probably already seen that video. If you're on Facebook at all, he's been trending. And while we don't want to give a whole lot of attention to him specifically, we felt like it was noteworthy enough to address. And as always, my mind is racing and I'm all over the place, but we want to try to keep try to condense this conversation and address the real core of the issues that we identified, right? So, Nikki, where you want to start?
Okay, so what I really wanted to start with was the fact that, like you said, it wasn't our intention. And Michelle knows that I was extremely reluctant to even play the video at all, because I didn't want to give him any more likes, any more views, none of
attention.
Attention, none of that. But it was important for me to share that video from the standpoint of this. Sometimes we go into relationships that are extremely disrespectful, and we indulge them. So now this young man has thousands of followers. Thousands. And he has a real high interaction of comments on his show. And I researched. I wouldn't just bring you one video of him and not and just call him out on that one video. So I watched several of his videos, and in all of his videos almost, he is so disrespectful, demeaning, and downright condescending, just a horrible attitude. And so I got to thinking, my mind went immediately to, what is it about people that allow themselves to be in a relationship or to be in a situation or even entertain or occupy a space where people are literally belittling you, and then you continue to indulge it? So as you can see from that clip, you know, okay, we understand that maybe he was right to some degree, that she called in on a day she shouldn't have called in, and she kept, you know, belaboring the question that she wanted answered, and he might have been a little bit frustrated. But the whole idea that he would disrespect her, talk to her in that manner, curse at her, and she continued to dialogue with him, to me, that's a level of self-deprecation that is unnecessary. And so what we're hoping to do tonight is open eyes and minds and help people understand that that is something that you do not have to deal with in life. You should not put yourself, Michelle, you know better than I do, I'm sure. The scripture is in my head, but I know I'm not going to say it right, but if you know it, it reminds me of that scripture where in the Bible he says, when your people are not for you or whatever, you should shake the dust off your feet. You should leave and shake the dust off your feet as you leaving. I should have had that scripture ready.
I know the scripture, but I can't think of it either. And just real quick, Nikki, as we're talking about this, I also want to remind everybody that while this came from the context of a man and a woman, when we talk about relationships or conversations in the way that people treat us, we're not exclusive to just male and female relationships. We're talking about female and female, men and men, co-workers, whatever the situation is. Anytime you find yourself in a situation where it becomes disrespectful or just disrespectful talk, disrespectful tone, why do we allow that? Like how, and then how do we deal with it? Because my other concern is, right, we don't want to automatically turn into housewives. Right? We ain't throwing glasses of wine and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, we really need to get back to the place where we are demanding a level of respect, and then also address the conversation that Nikki mentioned, which is, why do we continue to allow ourselves to endure those types of behaviors?
Exactly. So I see some of the comments coming in now. Denise and Shainu pointed to low self-esteem, which was kind of almost clear. You could see with that young lady that there was a level of low self-esteem that she presented, and it was almost as if, which is really another shame, it was as if he took advantage of that level of low self-esteem she had and preyed upon her. And so, to my thought, and this is just my well, no, it's not just my belief. It is what I've experienced, and is what I pretty much know to be true, is that people will treat you the way
you allow them to
treat you. And so if you learn how to put yourself out there in a way that demands a certain level of respect, people have no choice but to respect you, or they just leave your presence. So those are the kinds of things that we hope that with our discourse and with our talking with everyone, that you would get that, and not just get it on an intellectual level, but on a visceral level where you feel it in your spirit and your body, and you carry yourself in such a way that it can't be denied. When people see you, they know, I have to treat her like the queen that she is.
And I'm sure everybody on the line, Nikki, knows that one person who they just wouldn't speak too crazy.
Exactly.
Or they already, or they think to themselves like, oh, I couldn't say that to her because she would, they know that there would be a reaction. They know that there would be a response. And what that really is a self-understanding. Listen, it's like you said, at the bottom line, people treat you the way that you allow them to. And when they know that you have a certain precedence, if you will, that I'm not going to allow this, people just don't come at you crazy.
Exactly. You want to read Shinu's comment?
A lot of times we don't trust ourselves enough to honor what we know is disrespectful. If you question what, finish your thought, Shinu. If you question what?
But to that first part, which is she's saying, I really get that. Like sometimes, we go through the world and we really don't trust what we feel inside. So we think to ourselves, was that disrespect? Or maybe they was joking, or maybe they don't mean it that way. We try to talk ourselves out of what we know to be real. And so when you get to a certain level of self-discovery and self-understanding, you automatically know from the rip what is really disrespect and what is, oh, that's just this, that's just that. Because you have those friends. Like I got some friends, and you still have to put those friends in their place too.
Right.
That for them everything is a joke. So they may say something out of the way that's kind of, borderline disrespectful. And then you have to put them in their place. Like, well, no, I don't joke that way.
So here's the thing, Nikki, because as I'm listening to you talk, I'm also considering the fact, and we actually did a show about this, right? I think sometimes too, we're often reluctant to speak our piece because we don't want to be viewed as that angry Black woman, right? Why are you taking everything so personally? Why are you taking, So now that leads me to the thought process that we have to start really breaking down those walls, breaking down those emotions, right? Because I believe wholeheartedly there's a way that you can go about doing and saying everything. And if something makes you feel a certain way, I always say, don't apologize for your feelings. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. But we don't have to necessarily go all the way left. But listen, there's no harm, no foul in calling somebody on the carpet and be like, listen, you made that comment and it made me feel uncomfortable. It made me feel some type of way. Can you not say this to me? Or can you not? And here's why. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we need to start having those conversations, and they don't always have to go completely left. So Chris found the scripture for us. It looks like Matthew 10:14. And whosoever shall not receive you, nor hear your words when ye depart out of that house or city, shake off the dust off your feet. Shake the dust off your feet. Yes.
Exactly. And clearly he wasn't receiving her and he wasn't hearing her. But she just kept, that was disturbing on many levels. But here's another good one. Can you read that one, Michelle?
This is from a Facebook user. It may be her past experience or experiences were on the same level of disrespect and she feels unworthy of anything better. And that's what this whole conversation is about, isn't it?
Exactly.
We're doing away with that unworthiness in 2021. We in a 2-1 now. We in a 2-1. We not deal. And if we continue to carry that baggage on and on and on and on, it's insanity, right? It's like you doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Some get stuck and begin to think they don't deserve more or better.
Exactly.
Well, you have not because you asked not. You have not. You don't require it.
You don't require it.
You're not requiring it.
So what I want to ask people, a few people, if you could just answer the question in the comments, is what is it that would make you feel that you are deserving of love, respect? Is there a particular thing that makes you feel that way? And is it there? Is it missing? Is it something you need to cultivate? What would that thing look like to you? I'm sorry, but go ahead, Michelle, with comments.
And ladies, just remember, it has to start with us.
That's why I'm asking.
We can make other people responsible for our happiness, for our peace, for our sanity. I mean, the saying is as old as dirt. I could do bad by myself. I could disrespect myself. So we can't put the onus on other people to treat us with levels of respect. So it has to start with us. That's what we're doing here in the 2-1. I can't say that enough. I can't say it enough. I'm sorry. The messages are coming in fast and furious. So I
want you to read the one that's highlighted so we can move on.
Some people don't know better, so they don't expect better. Exactly. But our question is, Elizabeth, why is that? Maybe she don't know no better, but shows like that, like this, can help her understand she deserves better.
Okay, here's the rest of Shinu's comment.
Oh, my comment got hold up. Yourself too much. You give the person the benefit of the doubt. They are the only ones that benefit from you. Yeah, they benefit from our doubt. And that's why I'm saying it starts with us. Right. It starts with us. You cannot put the responsibility on somebody else for your happiness, right? And it goes back to saying, you know, I've heard this a million times. When you're in a relationship, you can't get into a relationship with the expectation that that person is gonna be the end all be all, or somebody say, oh, you know, he's my other. I mean, I get that, but you need to be a whole person in the relationship in order for it to be solid. You have to be able to be the whole you. When you start compromising your beliefs, marriage is all about compromise. Hear me, though. I get that part. But when you start sacrificing and compromising who you are in that marriage or the relationship, then that's not you. And so that relationship is not real. You need to be able to show up as your whole self, or as Nikki liked to say, your authentic self. You need to be authentic in every aspect of who you are.
Right. And so that lends to the question that I'm asking is, what is that on the inside that you feel, that you think you need to present yourself in that way? Because what would your whole, I'm sorry, let me put it, this is a better way of asking the question maybe. What would your whole self look like, or your authentic self look like, that would be presented to people that would demand and command that kind of respect? What would that look like for you? Because if you don't know, this is the time for us to kind of talk about it. This is, in fact, we got homework for you guys. If you hang around for us a little longer, we got a little homework that we want you guys to think about before next week. So
I think too. I'm sorry. I get it. You know, I get excited.
Go ahead.
But I think you know, every time we start getting into these juicy conversations, I start thinking to myself, there's so many things, right? I love to say it's layers to this. There are levels to this, and I think it goes back to that whole notion from hundreds and hundreds of years of us as a people not feeling deserving. Okay, we know that not to be true. As we start to evolve and educate ourselves, we know that. In fact, it's quite the contrary, right? I think we're starting to discover that, you know, we are superior on so many levels, right? And so I think part of our progress has to be in owning and acknowledging that self-worth, and stop telling ourselves that we don't deserve, or we don't, you know, we shouldn't have. Stop letting other people tell us that Black love don't work. Stop letting other people tell us that our children can't learn. Stop letting other people tell us that we don't deserve to be this, that, and the third. Stop letting everybody else tell us what's good for us. We have to know what's good for us and what's good for ourselves. I think that's part of where it starts. So that's part of the growth that we need to start making.
Exactly.
Facebook user says, that is so true. I've had to have the conversation with some of my closest friends about using the word bitch and nigga. Oh, around me, letting them know that I won't condone the use of it around me, or when referring to women and our people.
Exactly.
Okay. Hey, Martina. Martina said, I shut disrespect down off the rip. I've been told that I'm intimidating and sometimes aggressive, even when I'm speaking in the most quiet or docile tone. It gets on my nerves at times because I don't consider myself intimidating at all. And I'm tempting to back down, but I get a knot in my throat. Yeah, it's that whole manipulation that I was talking about earlier. We've been told that whenever we stand up for ourselves, whenever we, defend ourselves, we all of a sudden are angry Black women.
Right.
They immediately go there. Anybody else could do whatever else, but as soon as we stand up and say something, and maybe a little bit of it is our tone, but what they don't understand is that's just our natural sass. That's how we do things. We move our head, we shake our, we do our necks, whatever it is that we do, that's just who we are. So again, about being authentic, I have to be able to show up as my whole self. If you can't handle that, I'm not going to think that that's a reflection of me. Baby, that's on you. We got to stop altering ourselves to fit somebody else's narrative. Now, I'm not saying go out here and be good and be hood. You know what I mean? There's a time and a place for everything. We need to walk in the grace and the elegance that is ours innately, right? I want to be clear about that. But at the same time, it does not mean that you have to alter who you are to fit somebody else's narrative. Letitia Atkins says, absolutely. It is not what you say, but how you say it. Yes, my sister. It also enhances your communication skills. I've had to learn this. It is important to have those difficult conversations. It is almost like you're not being true to yourself if you don't. You're not.
Yes, exactly.
You're not. You're conforming. You're becoming complicit. You're letting everything, go. And when you don't demand a certain level of respect, you don't get it.
Get it. You're not gonna get it.
You have not because you asked not.
You asked not. And the funny thing is, there are also people who they don't even have to say a word, but the way they even just walk into a room,
you already know
a certain level of respect. And so, again, I'm asking. I really want to know, because I have my ideas, which I'll share in a minute. But I really want to know, what is that in you when you walk through the world that either allows you to condone disrespect or to reject disrespect? What is that? What is that thing for you individually?
Okay. Shinu said, in my recent years of adulthood, I realized I allowed too much to slide a few times with some people. So I started tailoring my friendships, kinships, and relationships vigilantly.
So that's a perfect example. Shinu or Shinu?
Shinu.
Shinu. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I've been messing her name up forever. Shinu, that's a perfect example, because I think, especially as women and as caregivers, we move through the world and we're so busy trying to appease other people that we don't always come with our authentic self. But one of the things that I learned, and I learned this kind of through my sisterhood of girlfriends, is when I show up as my authentic self, if I feel like you're not loving on me, I really don't have no time for you. I wasn't always there in that space. I remember a time when I had a set of girlfriends that I hung around with, and I felt like I had to do this like hamster wheel thing to always be liked by them or accepted by them. Either I was, buying something new to appease or appeal to them, or going on a diet, or doing this or doing that to feel accepted. And after a while, I was like, that's too much work. Let me just see if I could be me and be loved and accepted in that space. And for those people who would not accept me that way, the way I authentically was, I don't even have those relationships. Now, don't get me wrong. There's so much love and respect from a distance with them. but I don't hang with so that wouldn't be my core circle. No, my core circle are the people that I know. I can go into a room, I ain't even got to put my bra on, and I'm just, I'm who I am authentically, and I'm still accepted, loved, and respected. So okay, I'm going down to
Denise, tell us more about that. She said, I know someone like that, they don't listen, but what, they don't listen to what? Tell us more. Sometimes it's how you were brought up at home.
Yes, of course. I think that people kind of forget that in all actuality, all we really are is the sum total of all of our experiences and how we handle them.
That's
So
true.
how you're brought up at home teaches you how to deal with those experiences.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. And again, I don't want to keep going back to past shows, but we talked about it with like the daddy-daughter relationships. I have often said my father had me rotten. My father messed me up from the gate because I already knew my worth coming out into the world. And so I was clear about it. I was okay with it. I knew what I deserved. I wasn't settling. I didn't care. I never felt validated by what other people said. None of that.
Oh yeah.
And then I watched my father treat my mother like a queen.
Right.
So well, there's that.
I don't know why you're not showing up, but sorry about that. But hey, thanks for hanging in and joining us in the discourse. But yes, Michelle, you're right. Sometimes it's modeled for you, and then sometimes you almost have to learn things on your own. So, and I think for me, it was modeled for me with my mother. My mother, she was quiet. She was very unassuming. She just, she carried herself like a lady. But my mother didn't give you no second chances to disrespect her. If you messed up one time, it was like my mother was almost like a quiet storm. She won't start, what they say, don't start no shit, won't be. She didn't bother a fly. She was the sweetest all get out.
Yeah.
But there were just some things that my mother did not put up with. And I could see that in the way she carried herself.
Right. And please, look, I hate to keep throwing my mother back in there, but I have to. Because if anybody knew my mother, and I'm going to go ahead and say it, she was queen personified. You know my mother.
You have to love yourself.
Class with a capital C.
Exactly.
Self-love first, yeah. For me personally, I started to go within deeply, self-reflection and introspection. Exactly. That's what it requires, though. You need that.
You need that. And you know why you need that? Let me just say from my point of view. One of the reasons you need that is that self-reflection and introspection and that ability to just sit with yourself. Because when you can't find what you're looking for in the world, you can be that for yourself. It's like you said earlier, Michelle, when you go into any relationship, a friendship, a marriage, a boyfriend and girl, whatever that relationship, co-workers, you need to go in there and be okay with yourself so that if that person is not behaving the way they need to be behaving for you, you're fine by yourself.
So I wonder if that's it. Do you think, Nikki, that sometimes we allow these things to take place because we're looking for something that we don't find in our own selves? We're looking to find it someplace else?
I think so.
And we're so desperate for it that we allow the disrespect to take place.
I think
so that we think we can get what it is that I'm just trying to make sense of it.
I think that happens a lot because I think that for a lot of people, most people, unless you really, really grounded and like Shinu said, you really do the self work and the introspection. We are looking for happiness outside of ourselves. And I'm sorry, I I'm a true believer in this, if nothing else. If you can't be happy on your own, you can't be happy with nobody. That's just the way life is. If you're a miserable person, you're gonna be a miserable person whether the king is bringing you gifts or not. So you have to learn who you are and be okay with that. So if you're a miserable person and you're okay with being miserable, fine, be miserable. But don't expect somebody else to fix that miserable or to make that miserable happy or even to join you in your misery. You need to be okay with where you are, who you are by yourself.
So you have to like yourself.
You have to like yourself. Yeah. Not love you, not even just like saw a few people said
self-love. Yeah, there's that. But then you have to really like yourself, like your own person, like your own company, whatever that is. Yes. Embrace all of it.
Yep.
Which I get that's a challenge for a lot of people, but I don't know what the T is with the names and stuff. So once I began to go deep within, I came to memories of being disrespected and dismissed during childhood. Our programming at the beginning of our lives affects us into adulthood. That's true.
It's true. It's like triggers, you know. You are literally the sum total of all your experiences. I was just talking to, I don't know if it was you, might have been you or Christy, and I was telling them how I'm triggered on so many levels with things sometimes when I feel like this need to be right. And I remembered a time in my childhood, and I was only in like the first or second grade, when this teacher disrespected me so badly when I was a kid and said that I was wrong, and come to find, and she just disrespected me and hurt my feelings so bad in front of the whole class. And then come to find out the answer that I had was right. And when she apologized to me, and it was the two of us alone.
And I was going to say in private.
In private. As, after she had chastised and been so mean to me publicly. And in my adulthood, I noticed this theme of me always fighting tooth and nail to be right with people all the time. And then after my introspection and self-reflection, I kind of realized where that came from. And the fact that I remember how the desks were in a row. I remember how she walked to my desk and grabbed my ear. It was so painful. And screamed at me. I remember the kind of math problem we were working on. I remember it very vividly. And then to have that kind of memory and carry it up through your life, of course you're going to be triggered by that stuff. That's why it's important to do the introspection, to do the self-work, so you recognize those triggers, so that when it happens, then you say, okay, this is just my trigger. Calm down. Let me fall back. It's not that bad. You'll live. You're going to be fine. Just breathe. You don't have to argue. You don't have to be right in this moment. Just let it go. So those are the kinds of things that we have to realize in all the different areas of our lives, so that we can come to situations, we can come to relationships as whole people and be able to demand a certain amount of respect, so that when we notice that we're being disrespected, we can look like, now here's my real favorite saying. When I see crazy, what I do?
Cross the street.
I'm crossing the street, because I'm not going to get involved with that. But that comes, like I said, from a level of deep work to understand, okay, is it really me? Is it my trigger? Or am I really being disrespected in this moment?
Or maybe it's a combination.
And it can be.
But the thing is, when you're aware of it, I think it puts you in a better position to respond to it. Right, because as you were telling the story, I was thinking of so many ways. Like if I don't know what grade you were in, but let's just say hypothetically, if your third grade self had the wherewithal at the time, you could have done something as simple as been like, well, I respectfully disagree. And if you have a moment after class, I'd like to show you why. Okay.
That would have been a real grown-up way. But
exactly,
I don't think my second grade self could have did that.
And I understand that, but this is why we're having a conversation, because as you grow, and you evolve, you start to find different ways of addressing certain things. And to your point, again, just from the modeling that I had in front of me, right? My father's a jokester, you know, but I was just having this conversation with him the other day. Sometimes you really don't. You don't even have to say anything. Mm-hmm. It's a look that people respond to. You know, I have a look that has really triggered certain people to get right back in line. They get gathered all the way together. And it's not necessarily intentional, but I think it's a disposition of, I'm not doing this with you.
Not going here.
And so when I shut down, I've heard it at work many times. When I shut down, when I stop talking,
you shut all the way down.
People get nervous. Mm-hmm. When as much as I talk, if I stop talking, people be like, oh, what's wrong with Michelle? Exactly. Because you already know. Mm-hmm. So, you know, there's that. Right, Michelle, when I speak up for myself, they say, yeah, I'm the angry Black woman who's showing out. And people love to fall back on that. And it's ingrained, right? So it is, I think that's even one of our triggers. I really do believe a lot of times we don't defend ourselves or we don't stand up for ourselves because we don't want to be viewed in that light. But in the 2-1, I'm like, look, it is what it is.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I really don't have a problem with that title because sometimes I am the angry Black woman. And you need to know that I'm the angry Black woman. So look, so you can do what you need to do
to adjust yourself accordingly.
Yeah, adjust yourself accordingly.
Yeah. I had to tell a coworker not to categorize me. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay.
Hey, Brian. I'm just trying to get through some of these comments. We're not leaving anyone out.
Thank you, Keisha Sims. You have not because you asked not. You ain't asked for it. You didn't demand it. You don't get it.
Don't get it.
It's not what you say. It's how you say it. That's what I was raised to think. Yep.
It's the truth. My grandmother used to have a saying, everything. And she used to say everything in decency and
in order. Yep. I get tired of folks telling me I'm too loud. I have had to make my voice. I've had to make my voice heard since I was little, or I would not have been listened to. As a result, I've learned to modulate my voice at times in order not to intimidate. I have a commanding presence anyway. Yeah, my sister, I don't know if we passed it, but she was saying we animated people. We are who we are, right? And I get what you're saying, especially in certain settings, right? I understand that. Kicking the yeah, Kim.
Wave in the 4-4.
Yolanda said, we try our best to be a light to others by setting a good example, and we keep trying to be of good courage, and just maybe it will rub off, but we end up degrading ourselves.
Right.
I think that's part of the conversation, though. I think one of the ways that we can eradicate that is learning how to, be firm in our stance. And learn how to have these critical conversations.
Exactly. Because one of the things that I just thought about with Yolanda's comment is watching that young lady on screen. And it almost seemed as she was really trying to acquiesce and be, polite and all those things, so not to be judged negatively. But in the end, she really did wind up degrading herself by allowing herself to be abused. Because really, that man abused her. That was really abuse, the way he talked to her. And at the end of the conversation, he told her to get the F off his phone. It was really abusive. And my hope, my goal is, not just today, but for us as we work every Thursday, I'm going to say this is work for us. And as we get through these discourse conversations and talks, that we lift ourselves up, that this is about lifting ourselves up so that we are always in a position to be respected. And when we're not respected, that we're able to move away from those situations without a thought, without a hesitation, without a pondering. No, we don't have to go home at night and lay in the bed and wonder, what could I have said or did differently? No. Move through the world the way you need to move through the world, respectfully, but don't allow anybody else to disrespect you because they don't honor your quiet respect or your demeanor or what it is, because it's the truth. People will take what they assume as a quietness or kindness for weakness.
If you listen to that whole video, and
please don't encourage them to listen.
No, I'm just saying, because the more I think about it after we watched it, he devoured her. By the end of that conversation, he devoured her, and you could physically see her retreat inwards
and herself.
And she couldn't even really respond, which was unfortunate. He dominated her, was what he did. Why he felt the need to do that, I don't know. Maybe it was because he felt like he could. Maybe he saw that she was gonna cower. I don't know. It was just very interesting to watch, And
I think he realized that he could. And one of the reasons that he realized that he could is because she continued to allow him to.
And so, right, because the first time he started being condescending, I would have been like, all right, never mind, bye. Bye.
The minute he said she called on the wrong day, I was like, okay, I'll catch you on another day, bye.
All right, well, now, okay, but yeah.
And I think that we also, humans all across the board, not just women, but we also have to learn how to be able to hear the word no and not be so broken by it.
Right.
And because it's fine. If no is your no, that I'd rather you tell me no and mean your no than for you to tell me yes and you don't really mean it.
Right.
I want the truth.
But I also think we have to acknowledge, Nikki, that there were also plenty of people, women in particular, who defended him wholeheartedly.
Exactly, which was the scary part, which is why I wanted to even bring this as a discussion, because that was really the scary part, that women took part in the degradation of another woman. That was the real scary part of it. You want to read this one? I have to go back up because I think I skipped a few.
That situation you described was a traumatic childhood event, Nikki. I have a memory similar to that. Adults really need to be aware of how they interact with children. That's so true. Mm-hmm. And their memory, children's memory, I've learned, is long.
That's very long. Very long. Because you know all the teachers that was nice to you, and you know all the ones that were nasty. You don't forget.
Yeah. Facts, Nikki. Miserable people will bring you down if you let them.
Yep.
You can't rock with yourself on a surface level. You have to have strong sense of self.
I like that. This is Claudia. Remember, this is Claudia whenever you see because I don't understand why her.
No, there's somebody else too whose name isn't showing. If you don't stand in your truth, you lose yourself into what they make you out to be or turn you into.
That's dead on. Yes. That is dead on.
I wonder, and I'm just throwing I'm just throwing this out there, guys. How many people are afraid to explore themselves? That's a hypothetical.
Break that down when you say explore yourselves, because you know something.
Well, we're talking about going.
People's minds might go a different way.
Ooh, don't have me here clutching my pearls, honey. I just mean, we're talking about self-reflection and valuing ourselves, and we talked about traumatic experiences from our past. And let's be honest, not everybody is comfortable in their own skin, and I get that for different reasons. We all got something about us that we would potentially like to change, right? But now, as we are embarking on a brand new year, there's so much in and around us has changed. What would prevent us from really getting to know ourselves personally? What would stop us from embracing ourselves and loving ourselves and being able to walk in that light? And again, it's a hypothetical, but definitely something for us as women to really think about post conversation, right? Even after we hang up, just something for you to ponder. I just wanted to.
That's kind of like the question that I was asking. Maybe I didn't ask it right, but because those are the things. It's like the questions that I'm always asking are questions that require us to think about us. That's really, in a nutshell, where I'm going. It's like, well, because we got homework assignment, and that's going to be part of the homework assignment. But the real deal, when you get down to the nitty gritty, is what is it at the end of the day that you think about yourself? Because what you think about yourself will guide everything in your life. It's going to either bring things to you or repel things from you. It is our core belief about ourselves that guides everything. And sometimes I have to be honest with you because I've had that myself. I think everybody has a touch of it. And when you don't do the introspective work, it will ruin your life sometimes. But I think that most people, let's just say, at least most people, sometimes have core beliefs about themselves that is really skewed. It's not really true. It's not a balanced or a real assessment about who you are as a person. And sometimes, like Michelle is saying, you might be uncomfortable with doing that work, or you don't recognize it. So you might have to go outside of yourself and get professional help. I'm not talking about your girlfriends either. I'm talking about a real therapist who can help you learn how to find out what those core beliefs are that you have about yourself, and then challenge those beliefs as to whether they are right or wrong. They may be right. Some of them may be right, but I guarantee you a lot of them may not be as true as we think they are. And they are guiding our lives in ways that we probably should not be going. So,
and I asked that question, Nikki, because I think that, because see, here's one of the hardest lessons I've learned in life. Okay. You have to always be able to look in the mirror and be honest with yourself. Everything starts with yourself. And you would be surprised how many people, I believe, really can't be that honest even with their own selves. That's just my own personal opinion. I also want to add the fact to just what you were talking about. We have to remember that what you put out is oftentimes what you get back.
Exactly.
What you put out into the universe, if your demeanor, if your disposition, if your self-worth shows up and it's lacking, people read that and understand that you don't believe you're worth it. So why should you be worth it? You see what I'm saying? So with all of that in mind, and I'm talking about everything, because I can imagine that there have been times, myself included, there have probably been times when you show and be like, oh, well, they never gonna pick me for that because of this, or I can never do that because of that. I don't know. I'm reaching, but like, I'm going out with my girlfriends. Ain't nobody gonna look at me because all my girlfriends is whatever it is, right? And I'm reminded of that often because people. I find this a lot, and where people always say, "Oh, Michelle, you're so confident. You're so where does that come from?" I don't know where it came. Well, I do know where it came from. It came from my family. It came from my background, my upbringing. But it's interesting to me to see how that doesn't resonate with a lot of people, and I think it all goes back to that lack of feeling worthy. And so that's what I'm trying to navigate now for everybody.
Lack of feeling worthy does sometimes come from a core belief. So if the core belief about yourself, and it comes from, like I said, those experiences in our life. So let's just say if you have a core belief, we talk a lot on this show about skin color. If at the core belief you believe that your black skin is not as good as white skin, if that's a core belief for you and you don't clean that up, that's going to get you into a lot of trouble in your adult life. I'm gonna be honest with you. It has gotten me into a lot of trouble because for the longest time, you know, and kind of let me just put it this way. My mother didn't play games with us knowing our history. We knew our Black history. But when you go into public school settings are horrible. Well, back in our day, for Black children. And for a long time, I had a core belief that Black people weren't as smart as white people. I'm just going to be honest with you. It took a long time for me to dispel that. And as I grew up and went to school and realized that I had brilliance that was far beyond a lot of people who didn't have the color skin that I had. But do you see how if I didn't catch that core belief, how it could have really ruined my life for the rest of my life?
And you know what's so unfortunate about that, Nikki, is I think that represents so much. That's why it's so important for parents to really be involved with their child's learning, because I think that oftentimes, maybe not as much now with, I don't know, but I feel like a lot of the teachers didn't expect much, and so they didn't require much from these little Black and brown children. Exactly. So while they may have been capable of so much more, if they were able to just reach the status quo, they were fine with that. And they didn't necessarily push our babies the way that they pushed others.
Exactly.
So
that kind of reinforced that core belief.
Right.
So that's why it's so important. She knew it's like dead on. You got to do that inner work, because if you never discover that was a core belief for you, you're going to just go on and unconsciously operate from that standard. And when you operate from that standard, I'm telling you, you probably repel more than you attract.
Right.
You want to read? I want to read a few more because this is always happening to us. Get down into the nitty gritty and the time starts to running out.
All right. So Elizabeth said we have to learn that it is okay to walk away. We are not here to save others while we are killing ourselves. Oh,
yes. I love it.
My.
Yes, Elizabeth. Oh, and my mouse want to act like it don't want to work. Okay, there we go.
I stopped giving S about what others perceive as Kim. I know who and what I am. Angry. You're not angry, Kim. Kim is, she gonna be mad, but Kim is one of the sweetest, most loving heart. But you always knew where you stood.
But you know what though? I'm
talking from childhood.
But no, listen, I'm talking from, I've met you guys as teenagers, and I'm gonna say this for sure. Kim, you hit that on, you know yourself, that's a great thing to know yourself. Now, I never knew Kim as really angry, but I knew Kim as,
firm.
Play with her. No,
exactly. In fact, when I made that comment earlier, Nikki, about certain people not to come at crazy, she was one of the first people that I thought of.
Yes. Yep. See, I don't know what's going on with Facebook, because this is obviously someone else whose name is not showing up. So I don't know how to even fix that, if we could fix that, but Facebook, get it together.
Yes. It's a time and a place for everything. Carol taught at home. Yes, she did. Yes, it is. My nephew asked that I couldn't answer the question. It was a light bulb moment for me. I became so much more aware about the way I communicate with children. Yes.
Yes.
I absolutely agree with you, Nikki. I've always been a quiet, laid back person who loves basically everyone.
Yes.
But I will not and have not allowed anyone to disrespect me.
I'm trying to get through some of these comments before we go.
I think she was just desperate and didn't know she had the power to shut him down publicly because it was his platform. It was, listen, he has some validity, right? He was doing a show about one thing. She called it about a completely different time. We get his point. I think the whole takeaway was, why do people think it's okay to just talk any kind of way crazy to people? Like, he could have found a completely different way to say, man, you know, if you don't mind, I need you to call back on another day, call my, what, you know, whatever. But he just came out the gate and she could not shut him down. She just couldn't.
Because even the questions she was asking him, they were not necessarily answers that you would want to hear, no matter how he put it. And some of those questions that he was answering, I believe that they were legitimately answered. So it wasn't necessarily what he said all the time. It was how he said it.
Right.
And more painful for me than how he said it was the fact that she allowed it, because that was like, I just could not see myself standing there or listening to somebody who was belittling me in that way. And you know, I guess that's some more work that I have to do, because for me, that would have been a good cuss out. You know, I try to be as nice and civil as I can most of the times, but at that moment, he would have got a good cuss out with the cuss words not bleeped.
Oh, people, oh wow, yes, I agree. People can pick up on your and immediately, Martina. Some people are opportunists and will prey on your complexes. So self-work is imperative. Yes.
Mm-hmm. This is a big one. So
I have a coworker who for the first 4 years tried it on every level. I was so bad. It was so bad. Other coworkers went to HR and said I was being bullied. Wow. She couldn't understand why her meanness could not break me. I finally pulled her to the side to ask her why she's so mad. We are the only Black women in administration. They already think we're angry. You don't have to be what they think you are. I felt like she was trying too hard to show them she don't play that it was coming off as
as a BI.
Oh, okay, as a BI. Mm-hmm. Wow.
And herein lies the thing. If you had not pulled her aside, how long would she have continued to do that? You see what I'm saying? So we're gonna have to get to the homework because we're running down on the time.
And then, you know, sometimes we see that a lot. That might even be another show. Black women against Black women.
Yes,
that might be another show.
Think that
Hold on though. This Facebook user, some people don't want to dig deep. That's a good one. I
see it.
Some people don't want to dig deep into self because they're afraid of dealing with those past experiences that were painful. We must realize that those types of things can hold us back, keep us stagnant, and prevent us from moving into our greatness. Yes.
So that's a perfect segue for the homework. Because again, she's dead on.
Wait, hold on. This is so good. They calling for part. I know they calling for part 2, Nikki.
Okay, we could have a part 2. I don't see.
Wait. He was a jerk. Okay. The elephant in the room. They are narcissistic demons roaming around.
You want me to highlight? I need to see it.
There's so many. I'm trying to pull them all up.
Pull them all up. We don't have enough time. We're running out of time. Okay, so let me just go back to that comment, because that comment right there was a perfect segue for homework. And the reason being is, yes, we do have past experiences that are almost too painful to look at. So there are 2 things that I want you all to do within the next week. I'm hoping within the next week, right, Michelle?
What?
We talked about the homework assignment, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for next Thursday. It has to be done by next Thursday.
Yes. So what we're going to ask you to do is steal away some private time, get you a pen and paper out, and do a little bit of journaling. And please write, and you don't have to share it with us. You can if you want to. But it's not required. It's not required. Not about
that. This is for you.
For you. It's for your own personal growth. We want you to list some things about yourself that you love about yourself. And here's the thing. For some people, that's hard to do. Believe it or not, it's hard to do. I real quick, let me just say, I used to have a hard time writing a resume for myself, because resumes are really brag sheets about yourself. And I had a hard time, just sound like I was being,
braggadocious about yourself.
Exactly. So what we want you to do is, if that's what it takes, be braggadocious about yourself. We want you to write these things down, and we want you to really kind of use them as affirmations, and kind of use them as like almost a meditation tool about yourself. Now, here's the thing. If there are some things that you just can't pull out of yourself, ask somebody that you really love and you really trust to give you at least 3 things about you that they see in you that they love and they desire. That's a simple homework assignment. The second tier of that homework assignment, and this
there's a second tier.
Yeah, I just thought of it when she just gave when I think this is Claudia posted that last post, that because things can be so painful for us to look at, even if they're pretty things, they can still be painful if we've had bad experiences around them. If you're having trouble looking at yourself, finding a way to deal or sit with your thoughts, I want you to just at least consider, not even make the effort yet, but at least consider and start to research finding someone that you professionally that you can go to and talk to and get these things out. Because what's that saying? Our secrets make us sick. And so if you're walking around with these secret things that you cannot address, you cannot look at, you cannot get to a place that you feel comfortable about, they are going to make you sick. So let's, for 2000, what you say, in the 2-1? Is that what it is?
In the 2-1.
In the 2-1, let's start doing some cleanup work on ourselves, so we could be our authentic selves everywhere we go. We could walk in the light of the wonderful womanhood that we are, and that we will be in these spaces and places and occupy them without disrespect. And we know how to cross the street when we see crazy coming. So that's kind of like my final thing, except this one more thing. Now, I am going to be and I'll save it for next week. Go ahead, Michelle, because we're really running out of time.
I know, we over. I'm good. I'm glad to see some of the ladies said this assignment is easy, so we'll see.
Good.
We'll see.
Good. And so for next week, we don't need to know your list if you don't want to share it. If you want to share it, fine. But if you don't want to share it, it's fine. But we would like to know what your experience was. Was it hard for you to do? Was it easy? Was it uncomfortable? Were you able to sit with it? Those are the kinds of things that I would like to know on next week.
Thank you, Letitia.
But yes, thank you, ladies, so much again. We missed you. We love you. We thank you for tuning in, because we know that you could be doing anything with your time but hanging in here with us. So we thank you, we love you, and we just ask that you come back again next week. And
bring a friend.
That's how I was going to say. Hit like and share. Bring a friend. Again, Happy New Year to all. You know, this year is jumping off and starting off to be kind of, I don't know. But, let's just pray for our country. We're going to be all right. But until next week, we love you. Good night and be well.
Thank you.